Supervisor Training, Module 3, Legislation. The main legislation referenced for what we do is the Occupational Health and Safety Legislation, or OH&S. It plays a part in all aspects of our job performance, starting at the bid process and not ending until the project is fully completed and we are no longer on site. The OH&S legislation consists of 3 areas. All 3 areas begin with the table of contents, definitions, and then their various parts. The OH&S Act has 10 parts, the OH&S Regulation has 5 parts, and the OH&S Code has 41 parts. The Act specifies obligations, duties, rights, and responsibilities of various worksite parties and committees, the requirements of a health and safety program, the information on medical assessments, findings, and reports, compliance and enforcement of the legislation, review and appeal procedure, offenses and penalties, information collection and exchange, and regulations and administration. The regulation specifies explanations of what is dangerous and hazardous, notifiable diseases, general protection of workers and their duties, safety training, required permits and certificates. The code specifies details about what is specifically required for a specific job or task, and schedules and exposure limits. It is important to know how to search and read the legislation book. Page numbers will not work when going through it. The general hierarchy is Part. Listed at the top right of the page, it will say Part 10 or Part 12, etc. The Act has 10 parts, the Regulation has 5 parts, and the Code has 41. Sections. There are the bold numbers in numerical order. The Act has 102 sections, the Regulation has 45 sections, and the Code has 849 sections. Subsections are bold numbers in brackets right after the section number. There are varying amounts of subsections per section. Clauses uses letters A, B, C, and so on, are sometimes listed after subsections. Subclauses use Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, and so on, are sometimes listed under clauses. Let's review an example together. If you wanted to learn what classifies an authorized operator of a skid steer, you would look in the index at the back of the book. Under Powered Mobile Equipment, you will find Authorized Operator 256, subsection 1. It is important to note that the index always refers to the code, not the act or regulation. The index does not list page or part numbers, so the first number, 256, refers to the section. All sections are listed numerically, so they are easy to find. The 1 refers to the subsection. Once you have located section 256, you will notice it is in part 19 of the code, and it has 3 subsections. They are numbered 1 through 3 and are in brackets. There was formerly a section 4, however, it has since been repealed. Subsection 1 has 4 clauses, A through D. They are also in brackets. There are no subclauses. You locate the required subsection and you're good to go. If you are using the table of contents, ensure you are in the correct area of the book. The Act, the Regulation, or the Code. The number beside the topic refers to the section number in the area of the book. To find the same information you just looked up in the index, you would look in the table of contents that pertains to the code. Locate Part 19, Powered Mobile Equipment, then Operator Responsibilities, 256. If you find the information provided in the legislation book is hard to understand or unclear, there is an OH&S explanation guide that may clarify it for you. It can be found at the following web link. Important legislation. It is important that you are familiar with all aspects of legislation. This applies to every level of employee, from the top management to entry-level laborers. A few key points from the OH&S legislation that everyone needs to know are: right to be informed, previously known as the right to know. A worker has the right to know about worksite hazards and have access to health and safety information at the worksite and to be properly trained in their tasks. The right to participate. A worker has the right to participate in health and safety discussions and decision-making processes for matters that affect their health and safety at work. The right to refuse. A worker has the right to refuse work if they feel it is unsafe or conditions may become unsafe. They may do this without the fear of repercussions or disciplinary actions. Please also note that OH&S officers now have the authority to issue tickets on the spot for infractions. If you are issued one of these tickets, you are responsible for all the penalties and fines incurred. There is a list of the offenses as well as the fine amounts in the OH&S handbook right before the code section begins. Each offense is also referenced in the legislation to refer to for more information or clarification. Please note that if a worker is fined on site, they can also fine the supervisor. If you would like access to the current Occupational Health and Safety Act, regulation, or code, you will find a blue handbook in the designated company vehicles, site trailers, the office, and the shop. Or you can also go online to the Alberta Government website to see the Occupational Health and Safety Act. If you require clarification or have any questions relating to OH&S legislation, please feel free to contact them at 1-866-415-8690. There are several different agencies that have legislation for us to follow. These include, but are not limited to, Occupational Health and Safety, the Alberta Construction Association, Alberta Transportation, Alberta Traffic Safety Act, the Workers' Compensation Board, Employment Standards, and the Human Rights Standards. Copies of or information on these standards can be found on their websites in the links provided. To demonstrate your competency in this section, please complete the Module 3 quiz. You must receive 80% or higher to be certified as trained.